Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of From Page to Stage. I'm your host, Wendy Corner, and this podcast is for you if you are an entrepreneur. Yes, page and stage come together in entrepreneurship. And you may be thinking, really? How does that work? Well, you may have a contributory book out, you may have a solo book out, you may have a regular blog. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got socials, haven't you? And what side of it's not published work? Tick that box. I want to expand your thoughts about what constitutes published work. And then what about the speaking bit? Ooh, a lot of people go to me, no, 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 can't do the public speaking thing. Can you have a one-on-one conversation with somebody? Yeah. Then you can do a podcast. And yes, that is a stage. So if you're watching this as an entrepreneur going, I know I really need to be out there a little bit more, but I don't really want to do the stagey thing. Well, come and talk to us. Let's have you on this podcast so that you can share your wonderful wisdom to the world. Right. Done that. Okay, now I am excited to introduce to you Karen Lee Cohen. Now, Karen and I have known each other for that long. I've read her bio. We've had a long chat to start with, but I don't know her anywhere near as much as she knows herself. So, Karen, I'm going to pass the buck over to you. Tell us a bit about who you are and how you got to where you are today.
Well, that's not too long a story. I'm an 8-time Emmy Award, regional Emmy Award winning producer. So most of my early career was in television producing and management. And I have a book out about that called It's About Time, my award-winning TV career. And I've kind of morphed into an author and a speaker and a coach. I still do television producing when I can get the work. And I also do media relations, but authoring has really become my passion. I discovered that, and you'll hear more about the Let's Be Peace book. I discovered that one of my main missions is spreading peace in the world. And in order to do that, I need to go on stages. And I wrote the book, Let's Be Peace. It's my 20 unique paths to healing yourself and creating peace in the world. I'm it's a peace movement that's slowly growing. And soon I will be doing a podcast with those 20 healers and others about peace. And one of the goals is to have monthly meetings where people can just come and talk peace. Peaceful peace, not violent peace, peaceful peace.
Peaceful peace. Love it, love it. So your book, Let's Be Peace. That was that an anthology, a contributory book then?
I don't consider it. Yes, it is contributory. Let me tell you how it happened. I After I wrote my memoir during the pandemic, which I think a lot of people probably wrote their memoir during the
We weren't
pandemic.
sure if we were going to get out alive, were we? We were fed
But
an awful lot of
well,
interesting
no,
propaganda.
yeah, I didn't. I don't. One of the things about me is that I do not listen to news at all. Whatever I need to know, I know, which is just remarkable. But even when I was producing and I produced news on occasion, I would tell people not to watch the news. Well, I didn't tell them that when I was actually producing it. But I have advised people for the last 30, 40 years to not watch news before they go to bed for sure.
Oh,
If you feel you need to know, and to please don't let your children watch the news. Um, the little ones don't need their brains. I was going to say corrupted, which is not fair, but filled with the information and what you need to know. You know, it's remarkable. Um,
Mm.
what got me into the news thing. So my belief is that when I wrote my memoir, It's About Time, my award-winning TV and my award-winning TV adventures, I the last two chapters were I was already working on starting a health and wellness channel with a group of people. And the last two chapters, most of it was about my career as a producer, and it's called a prescriptive memoir because I had people, I explained what a producer does and what a director does and what a production assistant does and all the elements. So it's called a prescriptive memoir because it teaches within my story. But the last two chapters, one was about my health and wellness journey, and the other was about spirituality. So I knew when I completed that book that I was going to do a sequel. Well, best laid plans. So when I started, after I self-published, it's about time. And when I started to
That
read
came out in 2020, is it?
2022.
22, right.
Yeah, came out in 2022, and Let's Be Peace came out in 2024. The end. So I seem to be every 2 years, and December seems to.
So next year, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, carry on, carry on.
There's definitely one planned for next year, maybe two. Um, so when I started compiling it, I realized that in order to really do justice to the alternative health and wellness modalities, I needed to go to the people who are actually the experts in it. I
Right.
didn't think it would serve the readers for it to be Karen's opinion. And I have a lot of opinions about it, but I really want the book to serve a lot of people.
Mm.
Um, and it's been wonderful. I mean, the 20 people that came, I had 5 or 6 that I knew that I was going to put in the book, and then the universe provided a total of 20. And I still have more, but I knew it was time to start at 20. So
Mm.
writing the book became a way for me to. Oh, there was a group of about 10 of us who were working on doing a broadcast or cable um,
Okay.
health and wellness channel. And for a variety of reasons, it didn't happen. And I have a lot of spiritual reasons to think that it didn't happen. But this book and the books, the sequels are my way of letting people know that there's so many alternatives. And I always say, I really don't care what you do, but I want you to know you have alternatives. And that's kind of a little fib. I do care what you do. I want you to be
Yeah.
healthy and happy and peaceful. However, but it just the purpose behind the books and introducing people to alternative health and wellness to just know that we are incredibly powerful and that we can heal ourselves and that we can use teammates to help us heal ourselves
Mm.
and doctors when that's appropriate too, but it's choices that we can make. And I encourage people to please make those choices. I call it use your internal GPS system. Find out the information and then make your decision. I mean, if there's things that Western medicine does better than anything else. And there are many things, I believe, many more things that we can do with teammates, with acupuncture um,
I
and
love that term, teammates.
oh,
It's
good.
lovely because going back to the allopathic, the usual route for healthcare.
Right.
Audience, if you don't know, my background is in speech pathology. So I grew up within the National Health Service in the UK. And occasionally, it was coming to an end as I was coming through the system. But you had the old school consultants who were the gatekeepers, and they were the ones who decided who would work with which patient. And I go, you've got no idea about my specialism. So no. And yeah, so thankfully we've moved away, although I have still experienced some old school consultants in my time and made it very clear that I was not going to them.
Well, actually, to me, that's really, in my experience, that's what's fun. I now have a holistic doctor who has both Eastern and Western credentials, so that's perfect for me. When I see him, he said, "Well, Karen, you're supposed to do this, this, and this. I know you won't, but it's my job to tell you to do it." So it's somebody who works with me. He knows that I will make my own judgments about what tests I need, what things are good for, and not everybody needs to be that, I suppose, controlling. But I really believe our internal GPS system, our gut, will tell us what is right for us if we quiet ourselves and hear. And that's one of the things that is challenging for a lot of people, is just to remember to breathe deeply and to take the time before you respond. I mean, one of the things I said recently in one of my blogs, do some breathing before you answer your emails. And I find that serves me very, very well, because sometimes I'll get an email and I go, and I'll stop and I have two breathing methods that I recommend. One is 4-4-4-4 and one is 4-7-8.
Square breathing, as I used to call it.
Square breathing, exactly. And for your audience that may or may not know what that is, it's breathe in for the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, breathe out for the count of 4, and hold for the count of 4. Or
That's the thing that's often challenging, isn't it? Because people are used to the holding your breath, but they're not used to holding the out breath.
that's true.
And that's a conceptual. You want? I'm sorry. You want me to do what?
Well, and if that is difficult, there's the 4-7-8, which Dr. Andrew Weil proposes. It's breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and breathe out for 8. So you don't have that the extra one. But doing anything like that, just any breathing exercise before you react to something. And we do react to our emails, or at least, I do. I mean, most of them are pretty benign, but sometimes you get when they go, So just
I don't know about you, Karen. I find that somebody else's urgency they expect their urgency to be my emergency, and not necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's taking, again, it truly is all in our own hands. We have so much ability to be peaceful, to be healthy. And it unfortunately is not yet, although more and more people are being trained this way. It's not what we're trained when we're children. I'm sure it was the same in the UK as here. We were trained to go to the doctor, and the doctor will know.
They
And
know best. So you give up.
you
You
know,
give up all your power to them, and you do exactly what they say.
and then that's what our parents did.
Exactly. Yeah.
And whatever you and I were blessed with the ability to say, no, 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 I don't think so. And where did that come from? The universe, the angels, wherever that came from. We were fortunate, I believe, enough to know that it is our own decision, that we have the ability, and that very often we do need the teammates, whether they allopathic or Eastern or meditative, or but I have something called peace tips that your audience can get at my website. And one of the peace tips is to assemble teammates and get the information when you need it, but always go back to your gut and make the decision for yourself when you can. And there's certain things that are just are hot buttons for you. But when you can, it can be very, very, very effective.
I love the fact that you're talking about trusting your guts. Audience, if you don't already know, you have neurons, as in brain cells, in your guts. And there's actually there's research now saying there's more information going up to the brain from the guts than there is going down from your cognitive brain, the thinky bit, down into your guts.
But I never heard that before. That's
yeah. that they've done some research, and forgive me, I can't remember the actual paper or whatever, but the it's not an equal transport system. So yes, I found that very interesting. So the phrase that we've actually got in English is "trust your guts" came around long before the neuroscience caught up with it and went, "Oh, actually, that's not a bad thing to think."
Well, one of the things that I sign all my social media posts with is love and trust yourself.
Yes.
And that's again one of the peace tips. If you stop to love and trust yourself, it's amazing what we can figure out for ourselves. And I don't mean to put it all on your shoulders. Get the information, reach out wherever you need to reach out, but then love and trust yourself. Do what's best for you. I mean, one of the things, and I don't have birth children. I have some some I have three wonderful young women that one crossed over, but that I inherited and when I was married. And one of the things I've always told them was to 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 love and trust yourself and do what you feel is best, which isn't always easy, but
No, it's not.
you
Yeah.
know,
Particularly if you're being bombarded with all these images. I mean, thinking about the young folk in particular, them being bombarded with all these images on social media, which of course we know as being the highly curated ones. And I had to laugh. I was in a bathroom recently where this girl was taking multiple photos of herself in different poses before she decided which one she was going to upload onto Instagram. And I'm going, really?
yeah, it's interesting. Whereas is it Denmark that now is stopping? There's
Oh, Australia.
is it
Australia have banned social media for the under 16s as of December 10th.
great. I thought Denmark did too, but either way,
Oh,
that
I mean, Denmark may have done it, but I happen to know from Australia because I'm an Australian citizen. So I've been keeping up to date with all the feed on that one.
has it been successful so far?
Well, nobody knows how they're going to police it. So,
Well, supposedly it's supposed to be right in the app, and that's not for us to do. That's not what this is about. But
yeah,
it's to to know and my bonus daughters are very smart people, and they do take good care of themselves. But it's to just know that we have the ability to know what's best for us, and to to put them. I mean, I've always suggested to people that they put themselves first, because you can't be good for somebody else unless you're good for yourself. Which
back to the old oxygen mask, isn't it?
yeah, it is, and it's as simple as that, but it's amazing to me, especially my friends with children, how difficult it is for them to do that.
Yes, yes.
And
Especially for women, because I mean we have been conditioned to look after everybody,
good point. Yes,
but where do we finish in this? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Karen, can I take you back in history for a minute?
sure.
When did you first start to realize that this writing thing was something that you could do well? I mean, I know we all did the mechanics of it around about the same time, but was there time in school? Did you journal? Tell us a bit about your writing history.
Well, I have journaled, which is again one of the peace tips. I have journaled for probably 30, 40 years. However, I didn't consider myself a writer.
Yeah.
I actually, about 25 years ago, lost a very big job because when I was told it was mine, and they said, "Are you a writer?" I said no. So yeah, it's and I'll never forget it, because all of my friends, when I told them afterwards, the interview was right before a television academy event, and they went ballistic, because I always had done intro, I had always done some writing, but I didn't consider myself a writer.
Yes.
So it was a long time coming.
Mm.
But I always enjoyed journaling. There was never an effort for me. And it wasn't really until I started, I sat down in 2020 when somebody said, you really need to write I'm very involved with my college, Columbia College in Chicago. And I'm on the alumni board, and we were having a gathering, a Zoom gathering with some graduating students.
Mhm.
And one of the things I did was I put one of my Emmys um, on the table, and I had never done that before. And so that engaged them quite a bit, and several of them said, "Well, you've got to write a book on how to how to win an Emmy." And I said, "Well, you can't really write a book about how to win an Emmy." And the Television Academy would never let me use that title anyway. But it was really what it was. There were four young people in that Zoom, and it was really them that gave me the impetus to say, okay, now's the time to sit down and write it. And I swear this came from the angels, because I don't know where else it could have come from. Before I started writing anything, I wrote to about 75 friends and colleagues and family and asked them to send me memories. And probably about 45 or 50 of them responded. And I had no idea how I was going to use it. What I ended up doing was I would write a chapter, and then if there was a memory from somebody that fit that part of my life, I would put their memories there. And it was for me, it was wonderful. I said, I'll never need a eulogy, because I got all the eulogies. It was so interesting that my memories and sometimes matched and sometimes didn't, and it didn't matter. So it just added something to the memoir, which ended up winning the NIEA memoir award. And I think that was why. I think because it had these extra elements of not just me, but what other people remembered from times of us together.
So you were saying about the fact that sometimes other people's version of the memory didn't quite match up with yours. Have you found that? And other times? I mean, the reason I'm asking this is because I wrote a bit of a memoir last year, and my brother came back to me and went, "That's not what it happened. That's not how it happened." Funnily enough, I remember it that way. So obviously, we've got a difference of a memory.
And Wendy, that's a really good lesson, because we really do. Everybody remembers things from their perspective. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
We funnel things in a particular way based on what our abilities are, what our thoughts are, what our challenges are. And so it is very common for us to remember things differently. My sister and I go back and forth on that too. I'll call her and say, "Do you remember it this way?" And she'll go, "No." Or sometimes we can fill in the blanks for each other. I don't know what that is, except I think it's just that we are also individual, which is the whole point about Let's
Yes.
Be Peace.
Yes.
Realize that we are also individual, and that not one size does not fit all, which is why, I mean, I want to stress that I really do believe that most doctors and nurses and um, practitioners are doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it because they care about
Yes.
their training. That is it, that I believe in some cases can be lacking. And it does, I mean, I had an incident where I found out firsthand that there were um, residents coming out of a very prestigious class, and they were, right they were um, medical residents,
Mhm.
and they knew very little about nutrition.
We don't
And
get taught that.
well, yeah, I think I've been told 2.5 weeks or 4.5 weeks, depending on where you go during their entire medical. And what shocked me is this was 15 years ago, that it still existed. I knew that it had been. And because of, I mean, and at one point I showed uh this yeah, I think she was an intern. I showed her some of the vitamins and minerals that I was taking, and she said, "Do you know how dangerous that is?" And I said, "Do you know how dangerous the drugs that you prescribe are?"
Nice one.
Well,
Beautiful response.
that's how I I'm very sensitive to things, and I'm very aware of it. So any medication, by and large, and the few that I would try, I would get sick from. I just my body told me a long time ago, these
Mm-mm.
pharmaceuticals were not for me. And so
Yeah.
that's, I had good reason to go out and search alternative remedies. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I have found so many wonderful people who are doing, such
Your
good
teammates.
work. They're teammates.
Oh,
Yeah. I've never called them healers because I've called them healers and they say, no, 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 you do the healing.
yes.
I just facilitate it. And most practitioners will tell
That's the
you
thing,
that.
isn't it? From the allopathic perspective, I'm the one who's going to heal you. And sometimes that goes over into the complementary side, but very often it's no, I'm holding space. You're the one who's doing the work.
Exactly.
And I have also had some experience doing my fascial release, and I'm literally holding the space. I'm laying hands on the person, and they are moving underneath me. And they go, "Oh, I feel so. Thank you for your healing hands." I went, "I'm just holding space, literally. You're doing the work." So yeah,
Do you do that remotely or do you have
I
to be
can do, yes.
a
Yeah.
person?
So that's another side that you may not know about me, audience, but we'll focus on the writing bit and the speaking bit. Thinking of which, Karen, we've talked about your writing stuff. Now, your first book came out in 2022, and
Correct.
then this Let's Be Peace came out in 24.
Correct.
And you said
Just both
there
in
may
December.
be something coming out in 26.
Yes, definitely. The book that I'm working on now is called Let's Be Joy. Excuse me. Uh, it is a sequel to Let's Be Peace,
Mhm.
but the themes are joy. There's a little bit. I've gone a little bit more woo woo, and I have two wonderful practitioners. One who does dragon healing, and another one that does unicorn healing. So that's pretty unusual.
Yeah.
But and there'll be. I think there's going to be 13 people on this one. I've just finished what I think is the last interview. And the way the Let's Be Peace book works and Let's Be Joy will work, I I have a Zoom meeting with the contributor, and there's
Mhm.
always three questions that they have to answer. What does Let's Be Peace mean to you? How do you recommend other people find their peace? And what does your own best doctor mean? So
Mm.
those questions, and then the other questions about their modalities. And what's fascinating, I think, to the readers is how, or at least that's the feedback I've been getting, is how the same questions will bring out the different perspectives. So the 20 people are so unique in how they respond. It's really opened up a whole nother world to people, which of course is what my purpose is. So makes me very happy when I hear that. And the Let's Be Joy book is will be similar and will be out hopefully by mid 26.
So
I
you're looking to midway through the year. Love it. Audience, if you don't already know, this podcast has what I call dynamic show notes, which means that when a guest comes back to me and goes, "Are you just launching?" Maybe it's a program, maybe it's they've got their own podcast, maybe they've got a blog or something. I go back in, change the show notes, do a quick blast on the socials going, "Do you remember that conversation, that fascinating conversation I had with Karen Cohen?" Well, she's got something else out. Go back, check it out, check out the episode while we're at it, but look for the links. Now, if I have a guest come back and go, "I got a new book out," I go, "Come hither. Let's have another chat." And you can tell
that,
us all about that book in more detail when it's due out.
that would be great.
We got a deal. Yes. Love it. Thanks, Karen. So we talked about your writing stuff. Tell us about your speaking career, would you?
It's very much like you said at the very beginning. I mean, I love speaking to small groups and always have. When I was program director at NBC in New York, for 8 years, and I would always have weekly meetings with a lot of these people. A lot of the people who worked for me are in the It's About Time, but
Mhm.
I would love. I mean, I love encouraging people to contribute. So my speaking technique is very interactive. I mean, that's why I love doing podcasts, because I love Q&A. I love finding out what it is that's of interest to you.
Yeah.
Uh, so I haven't done a lot of just speaking. I did since Let's Speak Peace came up. The Rotary clubs in the United States have
Mhm.
a peace organization, and so
Right.
I virtually spoke before them. So I'm really comfortable in the virtual
Yeah.
software. I haven't done a lot of in
In
person
person.
in-person speaking,
Mhm.
especially since the pandemic. But I
Yeah.
love I love talking to people, as you can tell.
I know, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Because that's the thing, audience. If you're not familiar, well, I mean, the most obvious thing is you only have a small window. So if you're used to gesturing and you make big movements, suddenly you can't see what I'm doing with my hands, can you? So you have to be aware of your little box when you're in virtual land. And also, you need to really use your facial expressions because you haven't got the rest of your body language. You might get the upper body, but you haven't got the full body to be seen. But you can lean in and you can go back, just as you can also follow the left-right rule. Because remember, you're going as you would be on stage. This is the beginning and this is the end because we go left to right, except that I'm going from my right to my left. Little things like that. But the other thing is I wanted to mention here, Karen, is you're right that virtual stuff, interactive, the conversational style is one mode of speaking. Then you've got the summits, then you've got the keynotes. Those can either be virtual or in person. Those are a different set of skills, complementary, but actually different. So when folks say to me, I can't do public speaking, they are very often thinking about being on a physical stage.
Right.
And when I point out that there are different stages, oh, that's when we get a little bit of tell me more. So we can give people the opportunity for some rungs on the ladder.
I did do a summit last summer, but she did it as a Q&A because she
Yeah.
asked me which way I'd prefer, and I said Q&A, and
Yes. Yeah.
that went very well. There are all kinds of ways that you can do it, and
Yeah.
all of my speaking engagements are and my podcasts are on in my website, letsbepeace.com. So
Love
anybody
it.
who wants to check it out can.
The notes will reveal the link. So if you didn't catch that, audience, don't worry, go look at the show notes.
Great.
Okay, we've talked about your writing, we've talked about your speaking. Now we've also talked about the fact that you've got this new book coming out sometime next year. Tell us that we're talking about the speaking and writing. How do you embody your words when you take them from page to stage?
Um, it's quite different. It's more I try to be interactive when I write. But it's more so on the stage. I mean, it's just one of the things I start with is the breathing exercise. Okay, before you listen to me, let's all find our peaceful place. Um, so I don't exactly do that in the book, but I try to be interactive in both places.
Mm.
Uh, one of the comments that I've gotten back from the people who have read both my books is that it's just I write the way I speak.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's very people friendly.
Well, I mean that's the thing. I've been involved now 3 contributory books and 2 solo books so far. Well, the first contributory book, you were saying about not being a writer. A friend of mine had signed up to do this contributory book, and sadly, she took an ill health period that she couldn't fulfill the contract. So she said, look, Wendy, it's all paid up. I don't want any money. You go do it. And I said to her, I'm a speaker, not a writer. I will never forget her response. I don't care what you call yourself, just do it.
Oh, nice. That's a good friend. That's a
So that was
motivating
the
friend.
beginning of my writing career, and 3 international, I think they were number one bestsellers, and the 2 solo works are international bestsellers. We didn't quite get to number one, but we were international. We were bestsellers in Canada, UK, and Australia. So when I was going back to the where I'm going with this is that we had a book launch. We had a signing and reading session for the first one. And the feedback that was coming back to us was, oh, I'm going to really enjoy going back to reading it now because I can literally hear your voices
Nice.
in my head as I'm reading it. That's why it's so important, folks, to talk about your stuff.
And I do have another book coming. It's a collaborative book, and I'm not sure when it's coming up because they're waiting to get more pre-orders. But it's a Blue Talks book with did you know them, Corey
I
Pitt?
do. That was my 3rd international bestseller.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the Janet Atwood one. It was supposed to come out by the end of the year, but this year, but it has so hopefully I'll have 2 books in 26. And what I wrote for the Blue Talks, the Janet Atwood Blue Talks book was about it's just let's be, because my series is Let's Be. But
Yes.
when I sat down to write that, when you asked what the writing's, I kind of sit down and go, okay, here's the concept, let's go. And then it just kind of flows. And I just wrote about the concept of being. So look for that when that comes up.
Well, we're all in the do world. Forgetting because there's so much. I mean, busyness is a badge of honor these days, isn't it? And
Yes, but less than it used to be. Yes.
that's my hope, my prayer that it is becoming less because that even in the entrepreneurial world, you've got all these ideas flying off here, there, and everywhere, and you've got to keep moving on them, and we're supposed to be doing this, that, and the other. If you listen to all the marketing gurus and diddly diddly diddly, and you go, are you a human being or a human doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
I think
so important.
as we're evolving, that's changing a little bit. And go to my website and get the peace tips, and that'll help you be that. And those are complimentary.
Thank you. There you go. Again, don't forget the show notes will give you the link. Love it. Love it. So we've talked about your writing, we've talked about your speaking, we've talked about this lovely set of books that are coming out. So you've got Peace, you've got Joy coming out next year. You said there was another one in the pipeline as well after that?
Yeah, I might have said in the pre-interview. I think the end of that series is going to be Let's Be Love.
Love.
I'm not a
Nice.
peace, joy, love seems to be
That's a beautiful trinity
yeah.
there. Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that'll be the one
Well,
after
there's
joy.
so much you can put in each one of them, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. That every pun intended. Okay. So as we're winding up then, Karen, have you got any final words of wisdom for us?
Number one is love and trust yourself.
Yeah.
I'm If that can become a little bit of your mantra, and helps you stop before you write that email, stop before you respond to somebody. Realize that we are all coming from our own perspective, and that usually if somebody is lashing out, it's really not at you, it's at themselves. And if you cannot react negatively, you can diffuse whatever that drama is. And it's okay to walk away. It's okay to say, this does not serve me now, and go back or not go back. But it all comes down to loving and trusting yourself and understanding that we have a GPS system, that we can take care of ourselves, and that we can do a great deal of healing by being calm. But part of the peace tips are journaling and gratitudes. Before I get out of bed, I do my gratitudes. And when I get into bed, I do my gratitudes. Just remembering how extraordinary life is and how
Yes.
grateful I am for the space that I'm living in, for the people that I know. And I usually do special thank yous to individuals who are part of my life that I'm so grateful for. So that helps before I even get out of bed and check the
Mm.
emails and the other things and do my yoga and my meditation. It's to remember the reason I believe I'm here.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. I was doing a gratitude practice once, and they were asking us to think about things that you wouldn't normally be grateful for. And quirky me looked at the tea bag that I was lifting out of my cup at the time and going, perforations, holes. I'm grateful for perforations. It
That's cool.
lets the water, lets the tea flood out, and it helps us to tear off toilet paper and kitchen paper, and then I started down this road of, well, where else have we got perforation? You can see I was going off on a rabbit hole, but the point is that you can, if you look for it, you can be grateful for the minutest little thing.
I have a tree that I visit quite often, and I'm so grateful. And I refer to him as, and I'm told I'm told this tree is a him. And when I haven't gone out and hugged him and posted it, my friends go, "How's Tree? Where's Tree? I haven't seen Tree." And so he's become so much a part of my being, uh,
Yeah,
and I'm grateful. And he's one of the things that gives me great joy.
yeah. It really does help to ground you, doesn't it? Literally.
Oh, literally, exactly. Well, and since a cousin of mine sent me a book about being Tree, and it's just and I'm very grateful to her. Beth, if you're watching, I'm very grateful to you for the book you sent me about Tree.
There you go. Audience, I'm going to include that link in the show notes because I'm curious about this tree book as well. And if I'm curious, chances are you are too. Oh, now, Karen, I would love for us to know what your very generous offer is to our audience. Please do share.
Well, everyone can download the peace tips by just going to the website letsbepeace.com, and also they can contact me in the comments at the website and give me and I can set up a 30-minute complimentary peace coaching session. Um, and that really is anyone who wants to contact me. And then for people in the United States, um, email me your information, and I will send you a complimentary copy of the Let's Be Peace signed, but only the first three people who request it. So if you are interested in getting a signed copy of Let's Be Peace, you can sign up in the comments and also email me so I can get that going for you. But apologies to everyone outside the United States. This is just, but you can get the peace tips for complimentary, and do contact me. I would love to meet you and do a peace coaching introductory session with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's absolutely very generous of you to offer to even send out free copies of your book anyway, but totally understandable. International mail is just not fun.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Karen, for spending time with us and sharing your from page to stage.
You are a joy, Wendy, and it's wonderful spending time with you and your audience.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye from us.